Morning, everybody. My name is Peter Forshaw. It's 2021. It's the first video I've done this year, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Alisha Anderson, who is the Facilities Manager for the Institute of Physics in London. Good morning, Alisha.
Morning, and happy LGBT History Month.
Yes. On that note, then, have you done anything for the LGBT History Month?
Yeah, actually. So I'm non-binary, and I did a talk with a colleague at work yesterday, and it was just a real sort of raising awareness around the issues.
Yeah.
And the experience and allowing people to ask questions. So it was really positively received by staff. And I think, especially coming from the facilities industry, where it's very like white male and can feel that way, that it was nice to sort of show about the other experiences that people have.
Of course. So we did our salary survey. I think we've done 4 or 5 of them. And obviously, in terms of those salary surveys, I think all of them show the FM industry to have a 75% male population. So it's quite an interesting topic at the moment. I think, there has been some talk about it, but perhaps not enough, and it needs to be obviously raised. So thank you for that. So Alisha, we've all been through 2020. COVID hit on March the 23rd. It's affected the FM industry tremendously. Could you talk to me about the ups and downs of your own situation with your office work and how that's all panned out?
Yeah, so I think it's been quite surprising for some people that when we close offices that our work doesn't get lessened. In fact, it's become really busy for us. And that's mostly around the fact that we're more than just 4 walls. We're about people and making sure that people can do their jobs. And we've had to be really quick to respond and really agile with how do we support people. So we've been able to do virtual assessments at home, provide equipment, build up all these sorts of really great practices. And so it's been really positive, I think, for facilities generally and IT and HR, but around how we're a lot more and how we're actually really meaningful. I think in times of crisis, we're the people that you run to. So it's been good on that. And the importance of health and safety has definitely become a lot easier to talk to people about in this situation. Whereas before it can always felt a little bit like a topic that no one wanted to discuss. So I think those are the real positives. The hardships that we faced, so we bought a building in Dublin and I have never been able to visit site, and it's incredibly difficult with what we do to not be able to poke around and see when, oh, this is leaking, where's it coming from? Or any of those sorts of things. Talking of leaks, we had a major flood in our London building before lockdown, so it's been closed for a lot longer as well. So it's been pretty much business continuity full on straight for this last year. And yeah, how we're sort of adapting to that. So it's been interesting for sure.
I can imagine. And going back to sort of mid part of the year, I believe you opened your office, invited people back, you created a video, and then you had to close for a little while and then reopen. How did all that sort of pan out?
Yeah, so we pushed to open. So we opened in September. And we were really at that point trying to encourage people to feel safe. So we did a video like, here's all the measures that we've got in place. This is our one-way system. This is how we're looking after everyone. So everyone had their own access to different things, and the desks were kind of like self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And yeah, then the week later to then get the news that we were going into a higher tier, and yeah, made the decision at that point to close. And then we allowed those staff who needed to work from an office that weren't being productive at home So we only had a small number of our workforce, like maybe about 5% coming in. But it was nice to be able to offer that for them. And we did it in a slightly different way where it wasn't too much requirement on the facilities team to facilitate it. So that was quite good. And then, of course, we closed for the Christmas and then lockdown again. So our building has been closed since that point. So no one's been going in unless by exception. So it's been quite a roller coaster, I think.
Absolutely. I think that's replicated across the board for most people, isn't it, really?
Yeah, definitely.
So looking to the future then, Alisha, what's the plan?
So I'm really excited. So I've put together what we're calling the WOW group, so Ways of Working group, which is a staff-led initiative to decide what the principles that we want to keep, because 25% of our workforce was always remote. And there's been some real positivity of that those percentage of our organization have felt really included because everyone's on the same footing now. And obviously we're keen to get people back physically, but it's looking at it in a different way. I mean, the facilities industry was always moving towards this idea of proper agile and flexible working. And I think this has really pushed it forward and taken away a lot of those barriers of we don't have the technology or we don't have anything in place, because now if you don't, then how are you working? So I think buildings now have a different purpose. Yes, for some people, they're still going to be needed for that focus work. But for most part, it's around that communication, it's that collaboration. It's the things that you can't do easily from home. And that's going to be the different thing. So this is what the group's exploring of what the needs are, and the etiquette and rules and behaviors that we need to have as part of that to make sure. So one of the good things about virtual calls is people putting their hands up, for example. You know, is that something that we want to keep even if you're physically there or not, to make sure that even playing field, or can we do it a different way of anyone on the call speaks first, to try and make sure that we're still holding that space, and there is some, although it won't be the same, it will be equal and fair as possible. So it's great that we're being able to do it through staff, because I think any change whatsoever is so important to come from people, because if we implement it, even if it's a great idea, it's still that thing of people are being told what to do. Whereas if you can get staff, and I generally find you end up in the same spots and the same ideas, but then it's come from the people, and it's a lot more accepted as a practice. So when you're trying to create those behavioral changes, it's really key to make sure that it's coming from them rather than from us, with us obviously giving the guidance of how to practically implement the ideas that are coming through.
Amazing. And when do you predict you'll be back to the office, or is that just hard to tell?
Oh, yeah. So at the moment, we're kind of aiming. So the idea with this group, we're doing listening sessions at the moment, with the idea of getting all the information back in April to then be approved by our exec board for the budgetary and commitment to work. And then over the summer, me, the IT team, and the HR team will be very busy putting all these things into place, with the idea of hopefully after summer, I say very tentatively, we'll be back in our buildings and able to see each other face to face, as nice as your background is, Peter.
Yeah. Thank you. Now that's been great, Alisha. That's given us a great insight, and hopefully that'll be helpful to others going through similar situations. I loved your term, more than four walls, and that just resonates really well with me. I also loved the part about how you're sort of including everyone in the hand up sort of section, so that's really excellent. So a really positive chat. Thanks very much for your time, and good to see you again.
Yeah, you too, Peter.
Take care.